Ever feel like you're just constantly playing catch-up in a world that won't slow down? Well, you're not alone. In this explainer, we're going to break down a clear set of strategies for not just surviving, but actually thriving when everything is always changing. Let's jump right in.
I mean, it's a feeling we all get, right? The ground beneath our feet is just constantly shifting. Maybe it's new tech at work or massive changes in your industry. Whatever it is, the pace can feel absolutely relentless. So the big question is, how do you not just keep your head above water, but actually get ahead of the curve?
You know the old playbook, go to school, land a job, climb that corporate ladder, it's pretty much broken. Skills have a much shorter shelf life now, and careers look more like a jungle gym than a ladder. We need a new framework, a new growth playbook, and that's exactly what we're going to build together right now.
Okay, so before we dive into the how-to, we have to start with the foundation. Section 1 is all about building that core mindset. Because honestly, without this, none of the other strategies will stick.
So the very first page in our new playbook is this idea of lifelong learning. It's not just a buzzword. Skills are becoming outdated faster than ever before, which means learning can't just stop when you get a diploma. It has to become a habit, kind of like the engine that's constantly powering your career forward. Now, lifelong learning can sound like this huge, daunting thing, right? But what the source material suggests is actually incredibly manageable. We're talking just 30 minutes a day. Seriously, think about that. That's one episode of a show on Netflix or your morning commute. It's this tiny, consistent investment that pays off in massive ways when it comes to future-proofing your career. So what does this 30-minute habit actually look like in practice? Well, the playbook gives us 3 super simple actions. 1, you can read, and read widely to get new perspectives. 2, you can take a targeted online course to build a very specific skill. Or 3, and this is the one people often forget, you can intentionally learn from your peers, the people right there beside you. It's all about creating your own personal curriculum. Okay, so we've got the actions down. We know what to do. But what's the internal driver? What's the fuel that makes this whole learning machine actually run? Because without it, you're just going to stall out. And that engine is curiosity. It's the why behind the what. Curiosity is that little spark that makes us ask questions, that pushes us to explore things we don't understand, and to challenge the way things have always been done. It's really the compass that guides your whole learning journey. And here's a perfect real-world example of what that looks like. A marketer gets curious about all this new AI stuff. They don't just learn a new skill to add to their resume. They end up discovering totally new, innovative ways to do their job better. That is the power of curiosity in action.
Okay, so we've got the mindset locked in. Now let's move on to section 2 and build out our practical toolkit. These are the specific tools and strategies you're going to use to navigate all that unpredictable change.
Our toolkit has 3 absolutely essential instruments for dealing with change. First up is adaptability. That's your ability to be flexible. Second, feedback. Think of this as your compass for getting better. And third, experimentation, which is your engine for innovation. Let's break each one down.
Adaptability really just boils down to how you respond when change comes knocking. As you can see here, if you resist it, you end up stuck with rigid thinking and stagnation. But if you embrace it, well, that opens you up to new ideas, lets you make quick pivots, and helps you shift from just reacting to things to building a proactive strategy. The second tool in our kit is feedback. Now, a lot of us kind of dread feedback, right? We see it as criticism. But this quote reframes it so powerfully. Our new growth playbook teaches us to see feedback not as an attack, but as a gift. It's literally a map showing you the direct path to getting better.
So, how do you actually use this map? The playbook lays out a simple 3-step loop. First, you have to proactively ask for feedback. Then, you analyze it objectively without getting defensive. And then, and this is the most important part, you implement the changes. This simple loop creates this incredible cycle of continuous personal improvement.
All right, the final tool in our kit is experimentation. Now, this isn't about being reckless or just gambling on wild ideas. No. It's about taking calculated risks. It's about being strategic when you try new things so you can discover what actually works and drive real innovation. And a perfect example of this is a pilot project. So instead of betting the whole farm on some big, unproven idea, you just run a small-scale test. This lets you learn from what works and what doesn't without risking everything. It's just a smarter way to innovate. Now for our final section. This is where we put it all together. Once you have the right mindset and the right toolkit, you can learn how to consistently flip the script and turn the challenge of change into a massive opportunity for growth. I mean, just think about the huge forced change of remote work. For a lot of people, it was super disruptive. But for those who had the right mindset, it was an opportunity. They didn't just adapt, they learned new digital skills, and that ultimately led to them being more productive and having more flexibility in their careers. They literally turned a challenge into an advantage. So how do we make this a regular habit? The playbook gives us a three-part method. First, you have to reframe it. Consciously shift your perspective from seeing change as a threat to seeing it as an opportunity. Second, leverage it. Actively look for the hidden advantages in that new situation. And finally, stay proactive. Be the person who acts, not the one who just reacts.
And there you have it. We've built our growth playbook from the ground up. Let's do a super quick review of the key strategies we've talked about.
It really all boils down to these three core pillars. It starts with your mindset, which is fueled by lifelong learning and curiosity. Then you put that mindset to work with your toolkit of adaptability, feedback, and experimentation. And the result? You gain this incredible ability to consistently spot opportunities and turn any change to your advantage.
And you know, that really brings us to the single biggest idea in this entire playbook. Change is going to happen. It's the one constant, the one thing we absolutely cannot control. But your growth? That is 100% a choice. So the real question isn't what's going to happen tomorrow, but what are you going to choose to do about it?